Hello there, viewers of Rwanda Television, and welcome to another episode of Business Digest, the show that keeps you on the loop of all business agendas in the country. My name is Diana Iriza. Stay tuned for what's coming up on today's episode. Now, Rwanda Revenue Authority has just released the revenue performance results for the fiscal year 2018 and 2019, and turns out that the results surpass the initial target. Factors such as low inflation and compliance of taxpayers have highly contributed to this. In our next interview, we're going to be talking to Rwanda Revenue Authority to give us more details on this topic. Now join me as we welcome the Deputy Commissioner General of Rwanda Revenue Authority, Ms. Agnes Kanyanjeo, and she's briefly going to talk to us about the results of the revenue performance of the fiscal year 2018 and 2019. Thank you so much for being part of Business Digest.
Thank you, Dana, for having me.
You're welcome. The revenue results surpassed the initial target by 30 billion. For our viewers out there who do not know what the initial target was, can you briefly talk to them about it?
Thank you, Dana. The revenue target that the tax administration was handling in the past fiscal year, which is 2018-19, was 1,392 billion. And that includes both tax revenue and non-tax revenue. So tax revenue is the bigger chunk, which was 1,373 billion, and 19 billion was for the non-tax revenue. That was the target we were handling, which we successfully achieved, as you mentioned.
Okay, and currently Rwanda Revenue Authority is aiming at collecting 1.5 billion for the fiscal year 2019 and 2020. What gives Rwanda Revenue Authority the confidence of achieving this target?
Oh, well, I would pretty much say that based on the past 4 years, we've been achieving the target. But in all honesty, the underlying reasons why, and the biggest reason why we usually achieve, is the economic growth. When the economy performs well, it's almost a given that the revenue target will also increase. So that is the one major factor. And according to the projections that we have so far, the economy is performing well in just this ended fiscal year in the range of maybe 8.5 or 8.6% real GDP growth. And it's still projected to perform very well in this fiscal year that we're just starting. So that is the main confidence that we have. But what goes around with that also, additional factors that help, is how well we work as a tax administration. So that just speaks to our efficiency, basically. So we are continuously working on things that continue to improve our efficiency. I could give you 2 or so examples. We have the Compliance Improvement Plan, which was launched recently on 1st of July, which helps us show which sectors we are going to focus on to improve the level of tax compliance. This cuts across many actions, including education, getting close to them and understanding what's going on in their sector, what issues they could be having, and us helping them to comply better. So we have that already out, and it's one of the key tools that we use. We are also doing a lot around our data analytics to improve the ability we have to use that, to be able to detect any non-compliance and act immediately. So that's another key tool that really helps us in terms of improving our efficiency. And of course, as usual, we are continuously improving our systems that make sure that the taxpayers and all other stakeholders are able to access revenue authority services easily, as easy as possible, and cost-friendly in terms of their time and money.
Are you thinking of also using digital instruments to increase on taxpayers' compliance?
Digital instruments
like EBM machines?
Yes, yes.
Now there has been a couple of issues concerning EBM machines not working. Yeah. Are there any other challenges that are hindering the increase of compliance of taxpayers? And what is Rwanda Revenue Authority doing to to come up with measures and solve these challenges?
So specifically going to the example that you raised of the EBM machines, yes, through our taxpayers themselves and other stakeholders that we work with, we've been alerted of some challenges like that, of saying some machines are, on and off, not working so well. And we went ahead to put together what we usually call EBM 2. I think you've heard about it here or there. So it's simply EBM the version 2, and the purpose of version 2 is literally to address all the weaknesses that the first version of EBM had.
As we conclude our interview, let us move back a little bit to the targets that Rwanda Revenue Authority is coming up with. Currently, it is targeting on 1.5 Rwandan francs for the fiscal year 2018 and 2020. And now that happens to be 54% of the country's budget. Now, is Rwanda Revenue Authority on track in terms of self-dependency, since the country is trying to eliminate dependency on the budget?
Thank you. I would actually say it's not just a Rwanda Revenue Authority matter, though in terms of implementing we are the main stakeholders. But this is a government of Rwanda matter. I mean, when you come to self-reliance and financing our budget as comfortably as possible. And I would say the answer to your question is yes, we are on track. Because actually, when we are talking about self-reliance, what we mean is not just the tax to budget ratio, which is the 54 that you mentioned, but actually there is domestic resource mobilization as a whole, which includes then non-tax and other sources of domestic resource mobilization, like the T-bills and bonds and other non-tax revenues. So when we put all that together, it's over 67% of the budget. But further still, when you're talking about actually self-reliance in terms of meeting or being able to sustain your budget, then you even include the element of loans. Because actually loans can only be given because you're able to service them. So we use the domestic resources to service those. So when anyone is assessing your ability to be able to service a loan, they look at your exports because of course of the foreign exchange element, but they also look at your domestic resources to see that are you going to be able to service this loan and still run with your other normal business. So what I'm trying to say is when you actually include the loan, the percentage is as high as 84%. So in terms of self-reliance, we are talking about 84%. And the 16% left is what we are chasing to, as a government, to make sure we reduce that.
All right, thank you so much for the information you've shared with us. All right. And also thanks for being part of the show again.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana.
You're still watching Business Digest. We still have more to come, to stay with us. Now, MTN Rwanda is upgrading its MTN Prestige program by increasing the number of its beneficiaries from 4,000 to 600,000. Business Digest happened to be part of the launching event to get an insight of what the beneficiaries should expect from this upgrade. MTN Rwanda on Thursday announced the expansion of its loyalty program MTN Prestige to increase the number of loyal customers that benefit from the telecommunication company's services. The revamped program would increase the number of beneficiaries from the current 4,000 to 600,000 and give them unique services, including exclusive voice and data plans, as well as value proposition services from its partners. MTN partners with close to 60 businesses, including beauty and spa shops, clothing stores, airlines, fitness clubs, hotels and restaurants, airport operators, vehicle company services, and travel and tourism firms, among others. Loyal, high-value customers are then able to tap into exclusive services provided by those partners, in addition to unique treatment the telecommunication company gives them. And joining us now is Richard Achampong, the Chief Marketing Officer, to talk to us a little bit on MTN Prestige and what it's all about. Thank you so much for being part of Business Digest.
Hello.
Yeah, so let us know, what is MTN Prestige and who is eligible to be part of the MTN Prestige Club?
Okay, so MTN Prestige, it's our prestige or what you call high value customers offer. So basically what we've done, it's not a price plan, it's a total end-to-end proposition. So for our customers that are part of this club, you get everything special every time you interact with MTN. That's why we're saying, from the product that you buy to the kind of experience you get when you call our call center or you visit our service center. You can also be part of our Prestige Club and a whole lot of other initiatives that we've put together for our elite set of customers. Now, to the question as to who qualifies to be, everyone is really invited and everyone can be part of our Prestige base currently.
Obviously, a firm like MTN, when it launches something like MTN Prestige, there has to be a way for them to benefit from it as well. How does MTN Rwanda as a firm benefit from this system that has just been launched?
For us, it's not too much about MTN benefiting. I think it's really a question of how do we strengthen the relationship we have with our customers. And obviously, if you can build a relationship, harness it and make it stronger, then in the long term we can benefit. So it's not too much about short-term benefits and short-term gains, but it's really enhancing the relationship that we have. And if we can enhance that relationship and have stronger loyalty with our customer base, then we know we have a sustainable business. And that's really how we would like to look at it. So we offer ourselves and dedicate ourselves to make our customers' life a whole lot brighter, as we say, and to offer them all these amazing experiences at every touch point, purely just for their benefit. Look, we're offering people unlimited talk time. You just have to buy a bundle. For the 50,000 bundle, it's unlimited on the month. You talk as much as you want. So you can ask the questions, how much are they giving and how much are they, are we giving back to them? But for us, that's really not the question. We really want everyone who is on MTN to be a happy customer, to be loyal to us, and we have a relationship going, and we know that we have a business for tomorrow.
Exploration and mining activities in Rwanda remain inadequately funded despite continuous efforts by government to showcase the sector's potential. New National Bank of Rwanda statistics show that the mining sector continues to receive the smallest share of loans from the banking system. The system received 0.1% in 2016 and 0.2% both in 2017 and 2018. That reflects a low level of willingness of the traditional lenders to invest in a sector that the country places much of its hope.
Very much as part of our program, a key component of our program is to stimulate interest. And so here at this meeting today, we're bringing together some of the local banks, some overseas impact investors with mining companies and government representatives to discuss. I think one of the main issues is that here in Rwanda, the local financial service providers have limited information about the mining sector so far. Local banks have not, they do support the mining sector already, but on a relatively low level. So what we're trying to do as a program is to encourage a dialogue so that the banking community here better understands the mining sector.
It is said that the majority of operating companies are unable to access the kind of capital required for them to engage in professional exploration. And this is because exploration is risky, medium-term, and does not provide immediate returns, and it is a sector that some few places have been able to perfect.
What we're also showing is that there are significant opportunities, business opportunities. So we're laying out some of the numbers. Many of the small-scale mines here use quite rudimentary mineral processing techniques, for example, and with relatively low-cost investments, you can actually bump up processing so that you lose significantly less material. With low-cost mobile equipment, you can increase processing by up to 20%, which is actually very significant. And there's also the opportunity to clean up Rwanda. There's been mining here since the 1930s, so there's a lot of mineral waste lying across the country. And with simple processing techniques, you can turn that waste into commercial valuable ore that can be exported, and you can rehabilitate the land.
And on today's segment of Market Trends, we'll be looking at the Consumer Price Index for the month of June 2019. The Urban CPI will be the focus of the publication, as it is the headline index of monetary policy purposes. Looking at the Urban Index, the Urban CPI increased by 0.9% on annual basis and was stable on monthly basis. The average annual rate between June 2019 and June 2018 was 0.8%. Looking at the Rural Index, the Rural CPI increased by 0.9% on annual basis and decreased by 0.1% on monthly basis. The overall Rwanda Index, the Rwanda CPI increased by 0.9% on annual basis and decreased by 0.1% on monthly basis. The Urban CPI is calculated based on approximately 1,622 products in 12 urban centers of Rwanda. It increased by 0.9% in June compared to the same month of 2018. Alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and narcotics increased by 5.3%. Clothing and footwear increased by 6.0%, and transport increased by 3.2%. The Consumer Price Index for June was stable compared to May 2019. The underlying inflation rate, excluding fresh food and energy, increased by 0.5% compared to May 2019 and increased by 2.2% when compared to June 2018. The annual average inflation between June 2019 and June 2018 is 0.8%. The annual average underlying inflation rate is 1.5%. Now that's all we had for you on today's episode. Make sure to tune in again next week, same time, same place. Business Weekly Tips up next. Make sure to keep it Rwanda TV.